The president-elect will be joined by a new administration after his inauguration in 16 days. And as part of the transition, incoming Chief of Staff Reince Priebus met last month with the men who have done the job for other presidents, including Andy Card and Bill Daley. Card served for 5 years under President George W. Bush. He delivered news of the World Trade Center attacks to the president on September 11, 2001. Bill Daley was Commerce Secretary in the Clinton administration. He was President Obama's Chief of Staff from 2011 to 2012. Bill Daley and Andy Card, great to have both of you here.
Thank you.
Andy, let me start with you. What do you make of President-elect Trump sort of openly questioning our intelligence community's assessment that Russia has been behind this hacking?
I don't mind questioning the intelligence community and challenging them, but you don't want to demoralize them. You don't want to diminish their ability to do their job. They're professionals, and they work very, very hard, and they're diverse. It's not monolithic thinking in the intelligence community. It's a very diverse community. I don't want to see him demoralize the efforts of those who put together the intelligence work for the president and take his intelligence from people who don't have security clearance.
But Bill, you have Mr. Trump this morning referencing the views of Julian Assange on the Russia hacking issue, saying he tweeted this morning that Assange said a 14-year-old could have hacked John Podesta. Should the president-elect be quoting Julian Assange on intelligence?
No, I think it's outrageous. Here's a man who's hiding out in the Ecuadorian embassy because he's wanted in Sweden on a sexual charge against young women. So the fact that the president-elect even mentions his name vis-a-vis a discussion where he's implying that maybe our national security people aren't as competent as Julian Assange in figuring out who hacked or how it was hacked is truly outrageous.
The current CIA chief, John Brennan, said yesterday that quoting Assange, well, he's not exactly the bastion of truth or integrity.
No. Next, will they be quoting Snowden and saying that he's the source of some hack, or maybe he knows what's going on in Russia because he's there more than our people do? It's crazy. And I think it's time that stop when you're 16 days away from taking over the reins of the most powerful country in the world, and we need these people to work together and have credibility.
Do both of you assume that people are saying to him not do this, but he simply is ignoring their advice because the role of a chief of staff is in part to be able to say no to the president?
Well, I'm confident that Reince Priebus has the capacity to say no to the president-elect and would have the capacity to say it to the president. So I think Reince understands the responsibilities. I can live up to the responsibilities. I do think the president will have to find more discipline just over time, just over the amount of time that it takes to do the job. And you can't really opine on everything that's coming through the pipeline.
Andy, you know that there's a notion of one president at a time. Yet this president is out there doing things that suggest he's already president.
He has a phenomenal relationship with the American people, and it's a direct relationship, something we haven't seen in other presidents.
And could be good?
It almost has to be good because it's happening, and I'm not sure they're going to put that genie back in the bottle. I think the tweet world is going to be our world for a long time.
We talk about one president at a time, but what about one chief of staff at a time? In the Trump White House, it's been reported that Reince Priebus and Steve Bannon have basically co-positions. Can you see that working? Have co-titles?
It was announced that they would be equal.
Right.
That presents a very difficult situation in my mind. But it's all about what the president wants. And until he's in that Oval Office, you get some indication now. But I think the president's message there was, I'm going to have free flowing, and whether his daughter and his son-in-law and others are, and obviously Kellyanne Conway is as important as anybody we've named so far, that has to be managed, though, by a chief of staff. If he can't manage that group, and can't manage the president, you got a problem.
But didn't you have a similar kind of thing when you had Jim Baker and Mike Deaver and Ed Meese?
Yeah, you did. For a short period.
Have had it.
For a short
Valerie Jarrett with President Obama. So it comes down to how much does the president allow the chief of staff to have the responsibility for managing the White House and managing
Okay, so tell us what you would be saying to the president-elect today if you were talking to him and advising him.
Taste
in
your
the
words
interest of the national...
Taste your words before you spit them out. Everything that you utter as president has a consequence someplace in America or the world. And respect the most valuable resource you have, which is time. And you're going to be making only the toughest decision as president. Don't try to make every government decision.
Yeah, Barack Obama always says that only the hardest decisions come to his desk.
Right. All the easy ones are made by someone else. That's why they come to the Oval Office. But I'd also say think before you tweet or speak. It was before you speak. Now it's before you tweet, because people around the world believe when a president speaks what he's saying or tweets. And there's ramifications to that. So, you can't just, it's not like a campaign. It's 16 days from now, it is a very different thing. And so far, I would say it doesn't look like people get the fact that it's going to be different. They're going to try to continue this sort of campaign, in my opinion, craziness going forward. Tweeting about Julian Assange, when you're in a dispute with the intelligence agencies and quoting somebody basically and giving them a little credibility versus your own intelligence groups, and someone who many people in the intelligence agency believe damaged our national security with what he did, is just, in my opinion, outrageous.
What's the most important attribute a chief of staff has to have? One word, Bill. One word, Andy.
Patience.
Patience.
I'm going to say discipline, self-discipline, and introduce discipline to the process.
Great to have both of you
Thank you
here.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hope you'll come back.
Yes.
Andy Card, Bill Daley, thank you so much.